If you're anything like me, you don't like having to do extra work when you can have the computer do it. Since you're in this camp, I imagine that some of you are going to be STEM majors, and that means you're going to have to do a lot of math. Wouldn't it be really convenient if you knew how to make the computer do all that math for you? Some math, like computing Riemann sums, can be extraordinarily unpleasant to do by hand, or even with a calculator, which is why being able to program these tools such as Riemann sum calculators is very helpful. In this video, I will be showing you how to use the basic math operators such as addition and subtraction in Google Script, in addition to some more advanced ones such as exponentiation and logarithms. Alright, to start with, I'm just going to make a quick comment down here so I can just copy and paste for a lot of these different things. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to start with some assignments here. So I'm going to let op1 equal 4 and op2 equal 5. So these 4 and 5 are two nice small numbers to do calculations with, and I am going to tell the computer to prepare a place to put the result. So first let's do addition. Addition is exactly the same as you would expect it to be, just using a plus. And now, forgot something in my message here. Whoops, I forgot something here. And just copy that and put it down here so we can use it later. So I'm using the backticks and $ notation just so it's a lot easier to read. So let's make sure my math works, because this should give us 9. Yes, 4 plus 5 does indeed equal 9. I'm so good at math. As well, there is subtraction. And it will just take a second to load here. And as we can see, we properly get -1 here. Now for the other two operators, two common operators, that is to say multiplication and division, there isn't exactly an X or a divided by symbol on your keyboard, so we use different ones for those. So there's two ways we could go about doing this. We use the asterisk to denote multiplication, located on Shift 8. And of course it takes a second to load. As we can see, 4 times 5 is 20. Now we can actually save some space here by, instead of assigning result each of these things, we don't need to assign everything to a variable. We could instead do it like so. Just so we have fewer lines. I'm commenting out these lines just to leave them there for now. Alright. Now there are two different, oops, I don't need that one, I need this one. There are actually two types of division that you can do in Google Script. The first one is regular division and the second one is modulus. So first let's go with the regular division. Now something that's a little bit odd about this Google Script editor is you'll notice that this text has changed color. I haven't been able to figure out why it does that. Everything seems to function as intended, so I'm not quite sure why it is doing that. Yeah, it'll probably be faster to look here. Or not. As we can see, 4 divided by 5 is 0.8, which is correct. Now, one important thing to note is that Google Script works differently than most other programming languages. Most would say 4 divided by 5 is equal to 0. That's because most programming languages do what is known as integer division, which is where instead of saying what is 4 divided by 5, it says how many 5s are there in 4, like you used to do in math before you learned about remainders and other stuff like that. So you don't need to worry about that right now, but just know that if you're using another programming language and it says 4 divided by 5 is 0, then it's not a problem. It's what's built into the languages. Now, I mentioned remainders, and that is where modulus comes in. Now, this will actually... Let me see, is this the right order? No, I think I'm going to have to switch these. So, oh, I forgot to mention, division is using the slash, which is located shift question mark, so not to be confused with the other slash above the enter key, and modulus uses the percentage sign, which is located on the number 5 key. Now, what modulus does is, if you might remember back to the olden days of school, whenever you did division and had to remember the remainder, what modulus does is it says, what is the remainder after performing integer division? So in this case, 5 modulus 4 is 1, because when you do division, you say, okay, so is 1 4 in 5, so you subtract that and get 1, which is what the modulus is. If I were to do, for example, 20 modulus 4, I should get 0, because it divides evenly. Or not. I don't know what... Oh, duh. That's because I forgot to update it there. No, I forgot to run it now. I wish these logs would load a little bit faster. It's rather inconvenient. See what I mean? Yeah, 20 modulus 4 equals 0. Modulus is somewhat confusing to a lot of people I've met, so it can be very helpful, but it can be a little bit confusing at times. Now, it is important that you remember your order of operations, because contrary to what you may believe, the computer is not magic. You still need to use parentheses to enforce the order of operations in cases where, in this example here, you need to multiply first before dividing. Kudos to anyone who knows what this secret number is, or at least what it's kind of getting close to. Now there are 3 other helpful math functions that I can think of off the top of my head that you might want to use that require using the math object. So what I'm going to do here, first let's copy this here. So the first one is exponentiation, or in this case, oops, no, that's not right. There we go. So let me make sure I've got this right here. Oops, I did something wrong. There we go. So, let me make sure this works here before I go into details of what it's exactly doing. Let's see. So 4 to the 5th power is 1024, which sounds about right. That's 2 to the 10th. Yeah. So this one is x. So so if you'll remember from my first video, I mentioned that the whole logger.log thing, meaning the log function belonging to the logger object. This is a similar example where pow, short for power, belongs to the math object. Note the capital M in math. So in this case, math.pow calculates op1 raised to the op2 power. Now the next one you can do is square root. So that looks about right. So why did it get rid of my parentheses? Let's see, next comes the backtick, close parentheses. Yeah, I think I got it. So we can find the square root of op1, which should give us 2, since 4 is just, no, I did the wrong thing again. Maybe it'll have gone here. Yes, so the square root of 4 is 2. So of course you could do it that way, or you could do just, I don't get why it's, oh, I see, maybe I have insert mode on. I think that's what it happened. Let's see, we could probably also compute the square root this way by raising it to the 1/2 power, which is what a square root is, in case you didn't know. I think this is it. Of course it isn't. Yep, so the calculation remains the same. And the last one is logarithms, which I can never remember when you're supposed to learn this, so okay, just give me a second to type this out before I explain. Log. Let's see, and math.log op1. Let me see if I got this right. I can never remember my properties of logarithms exactly. Nope, something went wrong here. Yeah, sometimes it does this, where it doesn't log things correctly. Log base 4 of 5. Okay, so it did compute properly. So log base 4 of 5 is equal to 1.1609 something. That means that 4 raised to this power here is equal to 5, I hope. I hope I'm doing this math right. Logarithms are rather confusing even to someone who's been working with them for some time. So you may or may not use this one, but it's used for inverting exponentiation, just like subtraction inverts addition. So I may do a separate video on logarithms just because you can do some pretty fun things with them. But I think, let me double check here that is, yes. So that is all of my notes for all of the basic mathematic operations that you can do with Google Script. In all honesty, you're probably only ever really going to use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, but modulus is a really nice one to know. Let me know if that one didn't make any sense, because it can be rather confusing. And yeah, so I believe that is it for this video on... Oh, we don't even need the results anymore either, but whatever. So that should be it for this video on all of the different math stuffs that you can do with Google Script, and in the future I may do videos on how to do calculators with this, because you can make it solve all your math homework if you want.